So today's been an interesting one for him. At 1 hour, it was he just didn't show up and no one knew what going on. The state mystery, and everybody's wondering, did he relapse? Did he, take a hit and now he's out?
What I was wondering.
But everybody since then, Schefter. Of course, it's very sketchy. That's the first thing you wrote to me. It sounds very sketch. And I was like, yeah, it sounds horrible. An hour later, Schefter kind of helped clear the air and say he didn't have any slip-ups or failed tests. It's a proactive defensive gesture to get counseling to try to ensure that he does not have any setbacks that have marked his past, according to Schefter. So as a human being, you got to feel for the guy and say, I'm proud of him for making the right decision. Obviously, it does raise some red flags in fantasy, though. Is the guy going to show up? If he does, is he going to have his head on straight? I think long term, if he shows up, this shows some maturity. It will ultimately raise his floor if he's able to push through whatever he's going through right now. But the fact that he needs to keep reaching out for help shows just a reminder, a good slap in the face, a reminder that there is a lot of red flags with this guy, that there is a troubled past that you must consider and that he could go backwards at any point. So when I had this guy up at 25 above guys like Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, that tier, I had Josh Gordon leading it off. That was probably a mistake because those guys come with much higher floors, even if his ceiling, Josh Gordon, is still leading the league in receiving. He's an absolute beast, an absolute monster. Everyone's marveling at how hard he's working. Everyone keeps raving about his offseason. And even, and all these reports are saying his head's been on so straight that this is why he's continuing to make sure it stays that way. So ultimately, long term, I hope this is something that's buoying his floor, making it higher. But for now, especially if you're drafting this early, if you're that psycho, you got to consider Gordon a much bigger risk because we don't know if and when he's going to show up. And obviously, Landry, in the meantime, gets a pretty solid bump up. He's going to be the guy that inherits these targets, that gets the time to build the chemistry and really establish himself as the clear-cut receiver for Todd Haley, who loves working his receivers better than anybody else. So I think Landry gets bumped up. Josh Gordon goes from 25 to about – I know I'm going over the time limit. I apologize. But this is a big one. It's a big one.
But look, here's what I want to say about it, and I'll keep it brief.
Yes.
We love the talent. And I every time you've talked about how great he is, and you're starting to suck me in. I would always check you with I'm not sure I trust him. I'm not, it sounds to me like this was a proactive move. I'm going to take him at their word and assume that it wasn't. But how quickly were we willing to believe that he was on drugs? Immediately,
yep.
Immediately
exactly.
We believed it,
Good
and
point.
that's why you can't really. I mean, it wasn't a stretch at all. We both were like,
yeah.
oh, he's on drugs. He's going to be out for the season. That's why you can't put him ahead of these other guys.
Yep, very true.
He's a potentially huge lottery ticket score, though.